Hello and welcome to this exploring session, and today we are completing our journey into the world of the Merry Devil of Edmonton, which we started in the previous session, having segued from the end of Dr. Faustus into Merry Devil and then into lots of words. I know that seems a little obvious for a play. There's usually feature quite a few of them, but it's a very different tonal shift because we suddenly jumped forward about 10, 15 years. And this playwright is writing in a very different style and doing things that we haven't really encountered that much in these sessions because we've been, doing slightly different kinds of plays. So we've encountered an A plot, which is a whole series of thwarted loves and plots to get young people conjoined in that sort of way young people do. And also a sort of drunk plot thing that might be going somewhere. Don't know. They're just fun. And to move us forward, we have this wonderful selection of people today. So reading in a particular order, let's start with reading Millicent and Sexton today is...
Hi, my name's Elizabeth Amisu, and I'm also based in Romford.
Reading Fabel, Nun and Benedic is...
Hi, I'm Alan Scott, based in Suffolk.
Reading Sir Richard and Blague today.
Steve Longstaffe, scholar of early modern drama, based in Lancaster in the UK.
Reading Lady Dorcas and Banks today is...
Hello, I'm Helen Good, I'm a historian, I'm in Yorkshire.
And reading Sir Arthur and the Prioress is...
I am Valentina and I am an actress and voiceover artist in London.
Reading Raymond and Sir Ralph today is...
Liza Graham, actor, singer, and Shakespearean text coach to actors in London.
And reading Bilbo, Brian, and Hildersham is...
Hello, I'm Sarah Blake. I'm an actor, writer, and director living in Germany.
And reading Harry and Sir John is...
Hello, I'm Dan. I'm in Montpellier.
And reading Frank, Smug, and Chamberlain today is...
Hi, I'm Tamara. I'm an actor usually based in London, but currently going slightly mad in exile in Germany.
And squatting on this session today, our resident squatter for the week is...
My name is Alexandra, and yes, I'm just here to savor the fruits of other people's labours.
And I'm your host, Robert Crighton. I think I have covered every one, and I'll be reading stage directions and trying to move things forward. So we just had a scene of Sir John and Smug and the host and Banks, many of whom were somewhat inebriated, and exiting with the cries of woo hoo hoo boy. And so we now break to a different scene. Enter the knights and gentlemen from breakfast again.
Nor I for thee, Claire, not of this. Well, hast thou fed me all this while with Charles, and comes to tell me now thou likest it not?
Hold thy offer competent, nor do I like the assurance of thy land. The title is so brangled with thy debts.
Too good for thee. And knight, thou know'st it well, I fawn not on thee for thy goods, not I. 'Twas thine own motion, that thy wife doth know.
Husband, it was so. He lies not in that.
Hold thy chat, queen.
To which I hearkened willingly, and the rather because I was persuaded it proceeded from love thou borest me to me and my boy, and gavest him free access unto thy house, where he hath not behaved him to thy child, but as befits a gentleman to do. Nor is my poor distressed state so low that I'll shut up my doors, I'll warrant thee.
Let it suffice, Monchancy. I mislike it, nor think thy son a match fit for my child.
I tell thee, Claire, his blood is good and clear, as the best drop that panteth in thy veins. But for this maid, thy fair and virtuous child, she is no more disparaged by thy baseness than the most orient and most precious jewel, which still retains his lustre and his beauty, though a slave or owner of the same.
She is the last is left me to bestow, and her I mean to dedicate to God.
You do, sir?
Sir, I do. She's mine own.
Pity she is so. Damnation dog thee and thy wretched pelf.
Not thou, Mounchensey, shall bestow my child.
But neither shouldst thou bestow her where thou meanest.
What wilt thou do?
No matter, let that be. I will do that, perhaps shall anger thee. Thou hast wronged my love, and by God's blessed angel thou shalt well know it.
Tut, brave not me.
Brave thee? Base churl, were it not for manhood's sake, that it's hotter than ours is, which being stirred might make us both repent this foolish meeting. Harry Clare, although thy father hath abused my friendship, yet I love thee. I do, my noble boy, I do, if faith.
I do. Fill all the world with talk of us. Man, I never looked for better at your hands.
Hoped your great experience in your years would have proved patience rather to your soul than with this frantic and untamed passion to whet their skeins. But for that, I hope their friendships are too well confirmed, and their minds tempered with more kindly heat than their froward parents' farragness, that they should break forth into public brawls, howe'er the rough hand of the untoward world hath moulded your proceedings in this matter. Yet I am sure the first intent was love. Then since the first spring was so sweet and warm, let it die gently, ne'er kill it with scorn.
O thou base world! How leprous is that soul that once is limed in that polluted mud! O Sir Arthur, you have startled his free active spirits with too sharp spur for his mind to bear. Have patience, sir. The remedy to woe is to leave what of force we must forgo.
And I must take a 12 months approbation. That in the meantime, this solemn private life, at the year's end, may fashion me a wife. But sweet Manchesney, ere this year be done, thou'st be a friar if that I be a nun. And, father, ere young Jerringham's I'll be, I will turn.
Ooh, I think, Elizabeth, are you still there? Ooh. Looks like we've got a frozen image there for the moment. Who's not in this scene? Alexandra. I'll just give Elizabeth just a moment, see if she comes back. No, it definitely looks frozen. Could you start Millicent's aside again, please?
Sure. And I must take a 12 months approbation that in their meantime this sole and private life at the year's end may fashion me a wife. But sweet Mountchaney, ere this year be done, thou'st be a friar if that I be a nun. And father, ere young Jerningham's I'll be, I will turn mad to spite both him and thee.
Wife, come to horse, and huswife, make you ready. For if I leave, I swear by these good light, I'll see you lodged in Cheston House tonight.
And there's an exit there.
Raymond away, thou seest our matters fall. So, hell consume thee and thy pelf and all.
Now, Master Clare, you see how matters fudge. Your Millicent must needs be made a nun. Well, sir, we are the men must ply the match. Hold you your peace and be a looker on, and send her unto Cheston when he will. I'll send me fellows of a handful high into the cloisters where the nuns frequent, shall make them skip like does about the dale, and make the lady prioress of the house to play at leapfrog naked in her smock, until the merry wenches at their mass cry, tee-hee, wee-hee, and tickling these mad lasses in their flanks, shall sprawl and squeak and pinch their fellow nuns. Be lively, boys, before the wench we lose. I'll make the abbess wear the canon's hose.
And exit. So we had a few technical problems there. Elizabeth, I'm hoping you're back with us.
I'm back with you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, we had to move forward, so I'm afraid you lost some of Millicent's lines. But hopefully we'll come back to that in the future. Thoughts about this scene? It seems very much we're reiterating quite a few things we've already had. And the manuscript doesn't indicate some entrances that clearly happen, or again somewhere else in the room that made it slightly confusing. Thoughts about what we've just done? Stephen really wants to say something, but he's not sure what.
Well, it's sort of jest booky, isn't it? This bit at the end with the nuns. I don't know if people miss this, but handful high is a reference to a certain anatomical part. It's a kind of measurement. It turns up in a couple of rather naughty poems from the period. So it reminds me of all of those, well, basically Christian tales of what goes on in nunneries between monks and nuns. And so it's a kind of, I think we were talking yesterday about the way it feels like a sort of older play, with sort of restoration comedy, sort of marriage plot and so on. But this is sort of pointing in the other direction for me. This is going back, because this is set, whenever it's set in the good old medieval days where there were monks and nuns and boarding. So it's sort of a carry-on moment, really.
Other thoughts?
I was totally unable to work out who Dorcas was ever speaking to, or for that matter, why.
Well, it was the fact that the moment she said anything immediately, and this follows with something we were talking about before we started the session, was, you said something and immediately Sir Arthur, your husband, goes, "Shut up." And it's just, there's something quite, everybody's ignoring her, throughout this scene.
Yeah. And don't care for Fabel.
He doesn't seem to be quite the same chap we met in the induction.
No, I mean, his mischief is unpleasant and dangerous.
I'm not sure it's actually mischief in the sense of designed to entertain. I think he's basically being engaged almost as a fixer at this stage, and almost with a view of whatever he does, provided it achieves his patron's ends, that's acceptable. I couldn't possibly think of any modern political references there.
I mean, it's that thing. He's there to fix access to Millicent once she goes into the nunnery, and any other thoughts before we move forward? Perhaps it's still a little early to make assessments. Any other just random thoughts? I particularly like the use of "sir." You do, sir. Sir, I do. I just really quite like that. I like it when people use sirs a lot. We have it actually with the terms of address in Dr. Faustus. I don't think we mentioned the other day, just Master Dr. Faustus. Something very pleasing about that as a construction. Anyway, I'll move us forward. So next scene, we have Harry Clare, Frank Jerningham, Peter Fabel, and Millicent. So it's a question of precisely how those scenes mesh or not. Anyway, enter that lot.
Spite now hath done her worst. Sister, be patient.
Forewarned poor Raymond's company, oh heaven, when the composure of weak frailty meets upon this mart of dirt, oh, then weak love must in her own happiness be silent, and wink on all deformities.
Okay, 'tis well. Where's Raymond's brother? Where's my dear Montaigne? Would we might weep together and then part. One fine parley would much ease my heart.
Sweet beauty, fold your sorrows in the thought of future reconcilement. Let your tears show you a woman, but no farther spent than from the eyes. A sweet experience says that love is firm, that's flattered with delays.
Alas, sir, think you I shall e'er be his?
As sure as parting smiles on future bliss. Yond comes my friend, see he hath doted so long on your beauty that your want will with a pale retirement waste his blood. For in true love music doth sweetly dwell, severed these less words bear within them hell.
And enter Raymond.
Harry and Frank, you are enjoined to wean your friendship from me. We must part. The breath of ill-advised corruption, pardon me. Faith, I must say so. You may think I love you. I breathe not rougher spite to sever us. We'll meet by stealth, sweet friend, by stealth you twain. Kisses are sweetest got by struggling pain.
Our friendship dies not, Raymond.
Pardon me. I'm busy. I've lost my faculties and buried them in Millicent's clear eyes.
Deep love, what shall become of me? I must to Cheston, to the nunnery. I shall ne'er see thee more.
How, sweet? I'll be thy votary. We'll often meet. This kiss divides us, and breathes soft adieu. This be a double charm to keep us true.
Have done, your fathers may chance by your parting. Refuse not you by any means, good sweetness, to go into the nunnery. From thence we may, but must we beget your love's sweet happiness. You shall not stay there long. Your harder bed shall be more soft when nun and maid are dead.
Enter Bilbo.
Now, Sirrah, what's the matter?
Marry, you must to horse presently. That villainous old gouty churl, Sir Arthur Clare, longs till he be at the nunnery.
How, sir?
Oh, I cry you mercy. He is your father, sir, indeed. But I am sure that there's less affinity betwixt your two natures than there is between a broker and a cutpurse.
Bring me my gelding, Sirrah.
Well, nothing grieves me, but for the poor wench. She must now cry valet to lobster pies, artichokes, and all such meats of mortality. Poor gentlewoman. The sign must be not be in Virgo any longer with her, and that me grieves. Farewell. Poor Millicent must pray and repent. Oh, fatal wonder, she'll now be no fatter, love must not come at her, yet she be kept under.
And he exits.
Farewell, dear Raymond.
Friend, adieu.
Millicent?
Dear sweet, no.
We lost most of that again. Another go?
Dear sweet, no joy enjoys my heart till we next meet.
And exit them as well. Fabel and Raymond left.
Well, Raymond, now is the tide of discontent beats in thy face, but ere it be long, wind shall turn the flood. We must to Waltham Abbey, and as fair Millicent in Cheston lives, a most unwilling nun, so thou shalt there become a beardless novice. To what end, let time and future accidents declare. Taste thou my slights, thy love I'll only share.
Turn friar? Come, my good counsellor, let's go. Yet that disguise will hardly shroud my woe.
And they exit. It's interesting, with that scene and the previous scene, it feels like it's basically one scene with various overflowing things, that enter Harry Clare stage direction is simply misplaced, that happens earlier, and that people are there again. There's all this bustle going on with people coming in and out, preparing to leave, and there might be some bits that are also misplaced. It's an interesting little melee of stuff, but actually what they're doing is relatively straightforward. She's off to nunnery, everyone's saying goodbye. And Fable's doing some plotting, unless I missed anything there. Thoughts about that as a sequence? Okay, Alexandra.
I just love that, and as far as we've seen yesterday and today, there's a very clear delineation in the younger generation of what they want and that their wishes are not in conflict, as opposed to what the older generation wants, which is kind of opposed to that. So the younger people, who in a different story might be constructed into some sort of or constrained into some sort of love triangle, there's no such thing. They all know who loves whom and what deal is and who is whose friend. and they're very supportive of each other. And I like that because it subverts some I don't know, typical expectations.
Other thoughts? Anyone want to feeling strongly for or against any individual characters?
I haven't placed Bilbo yet.
Yeah.
I love the accent. I'm totally no coward.
He seems to be, like Blague, he's written like an Armin part. I wonder if Armin doubled these two. Although Bilbo also might be a boy, maybe an apprentice, who knows?
Yes, I like Sarah. Sarah did insist she was going to do it as un-Hobbit-like as possible, which I think is a very, very, very wise decision.
That was what came to mind as being completely un-Hobbity. One of the things, though, that made me go quite nil coward with him, as opposed to making him more kind of clowny, was because he does, like yesterday, he was spouting quite a lot of Latin. So I got the impression that he was maybe quite, I couldn't quite work out what his status was, but I thought he was maybe slightly higher than lower. I don't know.
Could be a squire, effectively.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, there aren't really any particular indicators so far that I can really leap onto and say absolutely he is X.
Except that he comes on and speaks prose in a scene where everyone else has been speaking verse. It does, to me, it does look like clown diction, but I'm sure we'll learn more as we go.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's get a little more evidence. We move off to some fun with some nuns. So enter the Prioress of Sexton with a nun or two, one or two, up to you. No, three. You're not allowed three. One or two. Sir Arthur Clare, Sir Ralph Jerningham, Henry and Frank, the lady, I'm assuming that's Dorcas, and Bilbo with Millicent.
Madam, the love unto this holy sisterhood and our confirmed opinion of your zeal hath truly won us to bestow our child rather on this than any neighbouring cell.
Jesus' daughter, Mary's child, holy matron, woman mild, for thee a mass shall still be said, every sister dropped a bead, and those again succeeding them, for you shall sing a requiem.
The wench is gone, Harry. She is no more a woman of this world. Mark her well. She looks like a nun already. What think's on her?
By my faith, her face comes handsomely to it. But peace, let's hear the rest.
Oh, I'm talking to myself. Okay.
Oh, I apologise. Are you doubled as awkwardly?
Sir Arthur and...
okay. Alexandra, can you be stunt Sir Arthur for this, the duration, please?
Good thing.
Thank you.
Madam, for a 12-month approbation, we mean to make this trial of our child. Your care and our dear blessing in meantime, we may prosper this intended work.
May your happy soul be blithe, that so truly pay your tithe. He that many children gave, 'tis fit that he one child should have. Then, fair virgin, hear my spell, for I must your duty tell.
Good men and true, stand together and hear your charge.
First a morning, stake your book, the glass where self must look. Your young thoughts, so proud and jolly, must be turned to motions holy. For your basketires and toys, have your thoughts on heavenly joys. And for all your follies past, you must do penance, pray and fast.
Let her take heed of fasting, and if ever she hurt herself with playing, I'll ne'er trust beast.
Take her, by lady.
You shall ring the sacring bell, keep your hours and toll your knell. Rise at midnight to your matins, read your psalter, sing your Latins. And when your blood shall kindle pleasure, scourge yourself in plenteous measure.
Worse and worse, by Saint Mary.
Fear how does she hold her countenance? Well, go thy ways, if ever thou prove a nun, I'll build an abbey.
She may be a nun, but if she ever prove an anchoress, I'll dig her grave with my nails.
To her again, mother.
Hold thine own, wench.
You must read the morning mass, you must creep unto the cross, put cold ashes on your head, have a haircloth for your bed.
She had rather have a man in her bed.
Bind your beads and tell your needs, your holy aves and your creeds. Holy maid, this must be done if you mean to live a nun.
The holy maid will be no nun.
Muted. Madam, we have some business of import and must be gone. Wilt please you take my wife into your closet, who father will acquaint you with my mind, and so, good madam, for this time, adieu.
And exit the women and possibly Sir Arthur as well.
Well now, Frank Jerningham, how sayest thou? To be brief, what wilt thou say for all this, if we two, her father and myself, can bring about that we convert this nun to be a wife, and thou the husband to this pretty nun? How then, my lad, huh? Frank, it may be done.
Aye, now it works.
Oh God, sir, you amaze me at your words. Think with yourself, sir, what a thing it were to cause a recluse to remove her vow, a sainted, contrite, and repentant soul, ever mortified with fasting and with prayer, whose thoughts, even as her eyes, are fixed on heaven, to draw a virgin thus devout with zeal back to the world, oh, impious deed! Nor by the canon law can it be done, without a dispensation from the church. Besides, she's so prone unto this life, as she'll even shriek to hear husband named.
Aye, a poor innocent she. Well, there's no knavery. He flouts the old fools to their teeth.
Boy, I am glad to hear thou makes such scruple of thy conscience, and in a man so young as is yourself, I promise you, 'tis very seldom seen. But Frank, this is a trick, a mere device, a sleight plotted twixt her father and myself, to thrust Mounchensey's nose beside the cushion, that being thus debarred of all access, time yet may work him from her thoughts, and give thee ample scope to thy desires.
A plague on you both for a couple of Jews.
Well now, Frank, what say you to that?
Let me alone, I warrant thee. Sir, assured that this motion doth proceed from your most kind and fatherly affection, I do dispose my liking to your pleasure, but for it is a matter of such moment as holy marriage, I must crave thus much, to have some conference with my ghostly father, Friar Hildersham, hereby at Waltham Abbey, to be absolved of things that it is fit none only but my confessor should know.
With all my heart, he is a reverend man. And tomorrow morning we will meet all at the Abbey, where by the opinion of that reverend man we will proceed. I like it passing well. Till then we part, boy. I think of it. Farewell. A parent's care no mortal tongue can tell.
And they exit. Yes, Bilbo's gone down in my estimation quite considerably there. That's a line that can be quietly excised. I really like the fact that the Prioress seems to have been booked from Panto. It's the good fairy has come down. You shall become a nun. There's something really weird about that.
I just love how it's unlike other times that in fiction I've read about, you know, go become a nun or something. And the girl goes, that's actually a good solution for a bit. I'm going to go hide with the nuns. This time it's like, so this will happen and you will do this and this will happen and that. As well.
Sorry, say again?
Just that explanation. I just find that interesting.
Yeah, you're getting a sense of actual procedure. You know, it's not like you just turn up and it's, you know, with your suitcase and it's all, you know, there's stuff to be done.
Yeah.
I mean, and Millicent seems mostly, very few exceptions, to talk in asides. I don't know if some of those are missing. It's like when they're talking about, they don't quite know what her thoughts are or affections lay, and it's just because she's always talking to the audience. She's not talking. It's sodding flea bags just wandering around at all time.
She may
Tamara.
possess this.
No, Liza, go on.
I'll be quick. Just saying that she may possess the superpower of overhearing people who aren't talking to her, which nobody else in this play seems to have. She has like this superpower of listening in on her parents plotting her future. Go, Tamara. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I love that there is a female character who has that ability, and the ability to kind of turn to the audience and communicate it. Because we've seen so many plays of, you go and marry this dude, and she walks off stage and hasn't said a word, and then eventually becomes a psychopath and kills people. But we don't actually get insight into her head. And in this case, the whole time Millicent is like, I am completely passive, but this is what I think. And I really like what that does. It's not empowering a woman more than she would have been at the time, but it is giving us a glimpse into her and making her a real character, so to speak. I'm fascinated by this. I really enjoy it.
It's also interesting, in fact, the men really just don't know what she's thinking, actually. Some of them think they do, but do they? Helen, I think you were going to say something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm aware of this situation. This is very, very similar to parents delivering their daughter to a boarding school. I mean, practically word for word. And there is obviously a financial involvement here. And also the mother saying, of course, we did look at other schools, you know. I mean, it's all there. And then when you get on to Frank, his religious sensibilities have obviously startled his father, who did not know he had such a conscientious son, but can only agree with him.
Alan, I saw a hand.
Yeah, no, I think it's moments past.
Okay, Alexandra.
I was reading that passage slightly differently, Helen, about the surprise of the son's religious sensibilities, because again, because we've got that thing beforehand where he repeatedly says, "No, I'm your friend. I don't want your girlfriend. I'm not involved in what my dad is trying to do." Here, where he's basically going, "I can't say no to you, father, but can I delay you in any way?" That's sort of how I'm hearing that.
Yeah, and we'll shortly see who the confessor that he's going to is.
Yes, we got a name check over Hildersham. We will meet Hildersham. That is not an offstage character. Any additional thoughts? No, then we shall move forward. So, enter Sir Arthur, Claire, and Raymond, dressed like a friar.
Holy and novice, I have told you now my full intent, and do refer the rest to your professed secrecy and care. And see, our serious speech hath stolen upon the way, that we are come unto the abbey gate, because I know Mounchensey is a fox that craftily doth overlook my doings. I'll not be seen, not I. Tush, I have done. I had a daughter, but she's now a nun. Farewell, dear son, farewell.
And exit Sir Arthur.
Fare you well. Aye, you have done. Your daughter, sir, shall not be long a nun. Oh, my rare tutor! Never mortal brain plotted out such a mesh of policy. And my dear bosom is so great with laughter, begot by his simplicity and error. My soul is fallen in labor with her joy. Oh, my friends, Frank Jerningham and Claire, did you but know but how this jest takes fire, that good Sir Arthur, thinking me a novice, hath even poured himself into my bosom. Oh, you would vent your spleens with tickling mirth. But Raymond, peace, and have an eye about, for fear perhaps some of the nuns look out. Peace and charity within, never touched with deadly sin. I cast holy water pure on this wall and on this door, that from evil shall defend and keep you from the ugly fiend. Evil sprite by night nor day shall approach or come this way. Elf nor fairy by this grace, day nor night shall haunt this place. Holy maidens!
Who's that which knocks? Ah, who's there?
A gentle nun, here is a friar.
Enter none.
A friar without? Now Christ us save. Holy man, what wouldst thou have?
Holy maid, I hither come from Friar and Father Hildersham, by the favour and the grace of the Prioress of this place, amongst you all to visit one that's come for approbation. Before she was, as now you are, the daughter of Sir Arthur Clare, but since she now became a nun, called Millicent of Edmonton.
Holy man, I'll repose you there. This news I'll to our abbess bear. Tell her what a man is sent, and your message and intent.
Benedicite.
Benedicte.
And exit the nun.
Do, my good plump wench. If all fall right, I'll make your sisterhood one less by night. Now, happy fortune speed this merry drift. I like a wench comes roundly to her shrift.
Enter Lady Dorcas and Millicent.
Oh, have friars recourse then to the house of nuns?
And Millicent.
Master, it is the order of this place who forced your ambition to proceed from conscience and devotion. A visitor is sent from Wilson House to take the true confession of the maid. Lady, is that the order? I commend it well. You to your shrift, I'll back onto the floor.
Okay, I'll just pause us there. Just run that little bit again. So, lady, that must be Lady Dorcas.
I think that's Dorcas.
Yeah, that definitely is. I'm looking at it here. We also got a little bit of cutout, so I actually asked to do that little bit again if we could. So, Lady Dorcas, can we go from have friars recourse then to the house of nuns, please?
Have friars recourse then to the house of nuns?
Madam, it is the order of this place, when any virgin comes for approbation, lest that for fear or such sinister practice she should be forced to undergo this veil, which should proceed from conscience and devotion, a visitor is sent from Wilson House to take the true confession of the maid.
Is that the order? I commend it well. You to your shrift, I'll back unto the cell.
And she exits.
Life of my soul, bright angel.
What means the fire?
Oh, Millicent, 'tis I.
My heart misgives me. I should know that voice. You? Who are you? The Holy Virgin bless me. Tell me your name. You shall ere you confess me.
Mounchensey, thy true friend.
My Raymond, my dear heart, sweet life, give me to my distracted soul to wake a little from this swoon of joy. By what means camest thou to assume this shape?
By means of Peter Fabel, my kind tutor, who, in the habit of Friar Hildersham, Frank Germingham's old friend and confessor, plotted by Frank, by Fabel, and myself, and so delivered to Sir Arthur Clare, who brought me here unto the abbey gate to be his nun-maid daughter's visitor.
Oh, sweet traitors to my poor old father. Oh, my dear life. I was a dream tonight that, as I was praying in my psalter, there came a spirit unto me as I kneeled, and by his strong persuasion tempted me to leave this nunnery. And methought he came in the most glorious angel shape that mortal eye did ever look upon. Ha! Thou art sure that spirit, for there's no form in mine eye so glorious as thine own.
O thou idolatress that does this worship to him whose likeness is but praise of thee! thou bright unsetting star, which through this veil for very envy makes the sun look pale.
No, visitor, lest that perhaps my mother should think the friar too strict in his decrees. I this confess to my sweet ghostly father. If chaste pure love be sin, I must confess. I have offended 3 years now with thee.
But do you yet repent you of the same?
In faith, I cannot.
Nor will I absolve thee of that sweet sin, though it be venial, yet have the penance of 1,000 kisses. And I enjoin you to this pilgrimage, that in the evening you bestow yourself here in the walk near to the willow ground, where I'll be ready, both with men and horse, to wait your coming, and convey you hence, unto a lodge I have in Enfield Chase. No more reply, if that you yield consent. I see more eyes upon our stay are bent.
Why, farewell, 'tis done, let that suffice. What my tongue fails, I'll send thee by my eyes.
And she exits and enter Fabel, Harry Clare, and Frank Jerningham.
Now, visitor, how does this new-made nun?
Come, how does she, noble Capuchin?
She may be poor in spirit, but for the flesh 'tis fat and plump, boys. Ah, rogues, there is a company of girls would turn you all friars.
How, Monceni? How, lad, for the wench?
Zoons, lads, in faith, I thank my holy habit, I have confessed her, and the lady Prioress hath given me ghostly counsel with her blessing. And how say ye, boys, if I be chose the weekly visitor?
Splud, she'll have ne'er a nun on bag to sing mass then.
Frank?
Sorry, I muted myself again. The Abbot of Waltham will have as many children to put to nurse as he has calves in the marsh.
Well, to be brief, the nun will soon at night turn tippet, but if I can but devise to quit her cleanly of the nunnery, she is mine own.
But Sir Raymond, what news of Peter Fabel at the house?
Tush, he is the only man, a necromancer and a conjurer that works for young Mounchensey all together. And if it be not for Friar Benedic that he can cross him by his learned skill, the wench is gone. Fabel will fetch her out by very magic.
Stands the wind there, boy. Keep him in that key. The wench is ours before tomorrow day. Well, Harry and Frank, as ye are gentlemen, stick to us close this once. You'll know your fathers have men and horse lie ready still at Cheston to watch the coast be clear, to scout about, and have an eye unto Monceni's walks. Therefore, you two may hover thereabouts, and no man will suspect you for the matter. Be ready but to take her at our hands. Leave us to scamble for getting her out.
"'Tis done, no more."
Splud, if all Herefordshire or Hertfordshire.
Why am I lost in my document? That's so weird. Blood, if all Hertfordshire were at our heels, we'll carry her away in spite of them. Sorry.
Whither, Raymond?
To Brian's upper lodge in Enfield Chase. He is mine honest friend and a tall keeper. I'll send my man unto him presently to acquaint him with your coming and intent.
Be brief and secret.
Soon at night, remember, you bring your horses to the willow ground.
'Tis done, no more.
We will not fail the hour. My life and fortune now lie in your power.
About our business. Raymond, let's away. Think of your hour. It draws well off the day.
And exit and end scene. What is it about this particular holy orders that everyone talks in Pantoverse? It really is. Everybody's at it. I love the fact that Raymond goes, oh, I better stop saying my aside now in case the nuns can hear it. Because obviously nuns like Millicent can overhear asides to the audience. It's obviously a magical power that one gains.
But she could do that before she became a nun.
Yeah, this is true. So maybe there's okay, we're going.
It's women.
So yes, we get a scene between Raymond and Millicent. We've got, plots, things turning over. Still not quite sure what Fable's actually doing. Everyone's saying he's doing stuff, but he doesn't seem to have done a damn thing yet. Alan.
I'm just wondering, was farce a thing at the time? Because we seem almost to be into a Fado farce.
Mm.
You're almost expecting 4 doors and people popping in and out at random.
I don't think we're quite there yet, but you're right. It does have that sort of momentum, doesn't it?
It's got a weird feeling to it.
City comedy is the genesis of those things, I think. The genesis of restoration comedy, that's also the genesis of farce.
Mm.
So what we've got a play here which is going back 2 centuries with some of the stuff we were talking about a little earlier with Stephen, and stuff that's going a century and more forward with restoration comedies.
Yeah, and ultimately it's based in commedia.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that, that sort of stock character thing.
There was one other observation I had, which is that one of Raymond's speeches reads like it's by someone else, and my guess might be Bilbo. The one where Raymond refers to young Mounchensey, who's himself, and talks about Dr. Fable. The diction is radically different from a lot of his other lines.
Let me just check to see whether it's down as Raymond here, but you're right. It could be someone else, or it got adjusted.
But I mean, I guess Fable asks Raymond, so it makes sense that Raymond should answer. Perhaps he's answering in someone else's person or in someone else's accent.
Well, at the moment, everybody's confusing everybody else by being in travesty roles or in disguise. So,
well, to be fair, I think only Raymond is currently actively in disguise, isn't he?
Yeah.
Well, and Fable disguised as Elwingham.
Is he disguised at this moment, though? They talk about him being in disguise, and maybe he is. So maybe, yes, the others don't know when he's saying "stands the wind there, boy."
I think Liza's right. I think this is one of the many misassigned speech prefixes. So,
Well,
sorry, say again.
I think that she's right, that because I think this is one of the many misassigned speech prefixes in this play, that you've actually fixed most of them, or one of the versions, whatever edition you looked at, did fix a lot of them, but not all of them, I think.
Well, at the moment, I'm looking at across 2 copies at the moment. That seems to be how they're assigned at the moment. So that seems to be how it's printed. That doesn't mean they're not misassigned, but they're just. I mean, it seems to work. I don't have a fundamental error.
Yeah, I'm starting to doubt myself a little, since Fable asks Raymond, and then Fable refers to himself in the third person. So maybe Raymond referring to himself in the third person makes a little more sense. Who knows?
Yeah, because if Fable is disguised at this point, it's the possibility they don't know he's Fable.
It is, yeah, there's a strange thing that happens with Fable going, "Sirrah Raymond, what news of Peter Fable?" And then Raymond answers, referring to Raymond in third person, and yeah, it's just weird.
Well, when we think about Faustus and how many times Faustus refers to himself in the third person, maybe maybe Fable picked it up from him.
Well, maybe it's a knowing thing. If you're both in disguise and you're talking to someone who you know is also in disguise, and you sort of go, "Aha, how is Peter Fable today? I don't know. How is he?" It might be like that. Helen.
I thought he was just asking, being like most people, totally self-obsessed. Do they speak of me at the nunnery? If so, what do they say? It's suddenly gone totally dark here. I'm going to put the light on.
You're fading away, Helen.
Yeah, I know.
Faustus has worked his magic.
Yeah. Any additional thoughts? About Raymond and Millicent. Millicent's actually talking to someone. It's quite novel.
I really love the speeches between Mira and Liza. I thought they were really romantic, and it reminded me of He Must Not Be Named.
It is a lovely little scene.
That altercation between Millicent and Raymond. I thought she was going to go to young Henry Clare, but it seems now that she's for Raymond. Am I right?
I don't think she can go for Claire because isn't that her
That
brother?
was her brother. It would be relatively unacceptable.
Well, she does love Claire because he's her brother, but yeah.
But the other is Frank.
Frank. Harry and Frank. Okay, let us move swiftly forward as we go into the B plot. We haven't seen the B plot for a while. I don't even know if it is the B plot anymore, or if it's just some stuff that's happening. So enter Blague, Banks, Smug, and Sir John.
Come, ye Hungarian pilchers! We're once more come unto the zona terrena of the forest. Let's be resolute. Let's fly to it again. And the devil come will put him to his interrogatories and not budge a foot. What? I'll put fire into you. You shall all three serve the good Duke of Norfolk.
Mine host, my bully, my precious counsel, my noble Holophanes, I have been drunk in thy house 20 times and 10, all's one for that. I was last night in the third heaven, my brain was poor, it had yeast in it. But now I am a man of action, is not so, lad?
Why now, thou hast two of the liberal sciences about thee, wit and reason. Thou mayest serve the Duke of Europe.
I will serve the Duke of Christendom and do him more credit in his cellar than all the plate in his buttery. Is not so, lad?
Mine host and Smug, stand there. Banks, you and your horse keep together, but lie close. Show no tricks for fear of the keeper. If we be scared, we'll meet in the church porch at Enfield.
Content, Sir John.
Smug, dost thou not remember the tree thou fellest out of last night?
And had been as high as an abbey, I should ne'er have hurt myself. I have fallen into the river, coming home from Waltham, and escaped drowning.
Come, Sever, fear no spirits. We'll have a buck presently. We have watched later than this for a doe, mine host.
Thou speakest as true as velvet.
I then come, Garson-hay. Garson-hay.
And they exit. Enter young Harry, Claire, Frank Jerningham, and Millicent.
Frank Jerningham?
Speak softly, rogue, how now?
Spot, we shall lose our way. It's so dark. Whereabouts are we?
Why, man, at Portisgate, the way lies right. Hark, the clock strikes at Enfield. What's the hour?
10, the bell says.
A lion's throat. It was but 8 when we set out of Cheston. Sir John and his Sexton are at their ale tonight. The clock runs at random.
Nay, as sure as thou livest, that villainous vicar is abroad in the chase this dark night. The stone priest steals more venison than half the country.
Millicent, how dost thou?
Well, very well. I would to God we were at Brian's Watch.
We shall anon. Sims, hark, what means this noise?
Say, I hear horsemen.
I hear footmen too.
Nay, then I have it. We have been discovered, and we are followed by our father's men.
Alas, what shall we do?
Sister, speak softly or we are descried. They are hard upon us, wheresoe'er there be. Shout it yourself beside this brake of fern. We'll get into the wood and let them pass.
And enter Sir John, Blague, Smaug, and Banks, one after another.
Grass and hay, we are all mortal. The keeper's abroad, and there's an end.
Sir John?
Neighbour Banks, what news?
Sounds, Sir John. The keepers are abroad. I was hard by them.
Grass and hay, where's mine host Blague?
Here, Metropolitan. The Philistines are upon us. Be silent. Let us serve the good Duke of Norfolk. But where is Smug?
Here. A pox on you all dogs. I have killed the greatest buck in Brian's Walk. Shift for yourselves. All the keepers up, Let's meet in Enfield Church porch. Away, we're all taken else.
And they exit. Enter Brian with Ralph, his man, and his hound.
Ralph, hast thou any stirring?
I heard one speak here hard by in the bottom. Peace, master, speak low, nouns. If I did not hear a bow go off and the buck bray, I ne'er heard deer in my life.
When went your fellows into their walks?
An hour ago.
Life, is there stealers abroad and we cannot hear of them? Where the devil are my men tonight? Sarah, go up and wind towards Buckley's Lodge. I'll cast about the bottom with my hound, and I will meet thee under Coney Oak.
I will, sir.
And exit.
How now, by the mass? My hound stays upon something. Hark! Hark, bowman! Hark, hark there!
Claire!
Peace! That a woman's voice. Stand, who's there? Stand, or I'll shoot.
Lord, hold your hands. I mean you harm, sir.
Speak. Who are you?
I am a maid, sir. Who? Master Brian?
The very same. Sure, I should know her voice. Mistress Millicent!
Aye, it is I, sir.
God for his passion, what make you here alone? I looked for you at my lodge an hour ago. What means your company to leave you thus? Who brought you hither?
My brother, sir, and Master Chamberlain, who, hearing folks about us in the chase, fearing it had been Sir Arthur, my father, who had pursued us.
We lost the end of that.
So they were past us.
But where be they?
Far off. Here, about the grove.
Enter young Harry Clare and Frank Jerningham.
Be not afraid, man. I hear Brian's tongue, that's certain.
Call softly for your sister.
Millicent!
I brother, here.
Master Clare!
I told you it was Brian.
Who is that, Master Jerningham? You are a couple of hot shots. Does a man commit his wench to you to put her to grass at this time of night?
We heard a noise about us in the chase, and fearing that our fathers had pursued us, severed ourselves.
Brian, how hadst thou on her?
Seeking for stealers that are abroad tonight. My own stayed on her, and so found her out.
They were these stealers that affrighted us. I was hard upon them when they horsed their deer, and I perceived they took me for a keeper.
Which way took they?
Towards Enfield.
Oh, a plague upon it. That's the damned priest and Blague of the George, he that serves the good Duke of Norfolk.
And there's a noise within, and it's
Hello,
father.
hello.
Peace, that's my father's voice.
Knows you suspected them, and now they are here indeed.
Alas, what shall we do?
If you go to the lodge, you are surely taken. Straight down the wood to Enfield presently, and if Munchensey comes, I'll send him to you. Let me alone to bustle with your fathers. I warrant you that I will keep them play till you have quit the chase. Away! Away!
Exit all but Brian.
Who's there?
Enter the knights.
In the king's name, pursue the ravisher.
Stand, or I'll shoot.
Who's there?
I am the keeper that do charge you stand. You have stolen my deer.
We stolen thy deer? We do pursue a thief.
You are arrant thieves, and ye have stolen my deer.
We are knights, Sir Arthur Clare and Sir Ralph Jerningham.
The more your shame that knights should be such thieves.
Who or what art thou?
My name is Brian, keeper of this walk.
Oh, Brian, a villain! Thou hast received my daughter to thy lodge.
You have stolen the best deer in my walk tonight. My dear.
My daughter, stop not my way.
What make you in my walk? You have stolen the best buck in my walk tonight.
My daughter.
My dear.
Where is Mounchensey?
Where is my buck?
I will complain me to the king.
I'll complain unto the king. You spoil his game. 'Tis strange that men of your account and calling will offer it. I tell you true, Sir Arthur and Sir Ralph, that none but you have only spoiled my game.
I charge you stop us not.
I charge you both get out of my ground. Is this a time for such as you, men of place and of your gravity, to be abroad a thieving? 'Tis a shame. And afore God, if I had shot at you, I had served you well enough.
And they exit. End of scene. And yes, very much as Alan said earlier, if it wasn't a farce before, it is now. It's set up this situation, and there's all sorts of potential here for business that isn't intimated. I mean, I cannot believe that Sir John, Blague, Smug and Banks do not make random upstage reappearances and freeze in random positions and move around, and that all these people are all chasing around each other. And there's a man called Brian.
He's a very naughty boy.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a very nice bit of situational comedy where you've got all these people who are all either connected or completely disconnected from each other, and you just happen to be in the woods at the same time. Thoughts?
But Brian's an absolute hero.
Mm.
And whoever it was who pointed out that Banks was the designated driver is still correct.
I have a question. The convention of a farce, did that exist at this point in time?
It's difficult to say. There's all sorts of elements that might exist. I don't think you could call it a farce as we know it today.
Not
Stephen.
in English, certainly.
We do have two doors, though, don't we, at least?
Mm.
And this seems to be written for people to come in one door, go out the other, just as somebody else comes in by the door that they came in by. But, you know, all of that kind of thing. And we do have layers as well. You know, we've got a gallery, probably. We could use even indoors, we could use a sort of pit type space. So kind of in that sort of, you know, wardrobe door, front door slamming sort of way. And it seems to be written for that because it does specify that those four come in separately. So, you know, and it's at night. So you've got your classic sort of night tiptoe thing, haven't you?
Yeah, you can almost hear the music going dum, 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 dum. Dum, 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 dum. And they bump into each other one at a time and look around. It's full of all those elements. Liza, I think you wanted to jump in.
No, I'm cool. I was just twitching.
Okay, Alan.
I could just see them backing together across the stage and meeting in the middle.
Yeah.
You know, the more we get of this, the more I'm thinking footlights. You know, it's got the feeling almost of a student review.
Well, I was thinking that the farce analogy, you know, regardless of whether, you know, what we might call farce today was a thing then, you know, it fits very well. You know, the situation is getting more manic as it goes on. Whether it sustains that for the final portion, I don't know, but it may do. Any additional thoughts? Okay, we're about to go into a sequence. Elizabeth, how's your connection going? Just at the moment.
It feels okay at the moment.
Still very breaky-uppy. Would you mind awfully if I passed your Sexton to somebody else at this stage? Retains Millicent. Is that okay? Alexandra, would you step in to be Sexton at this time, just for this scene? Sorry about that, but to say it's very breaky uppy at the moment. Okay, so enter Banks the miller, wet on his legs.
What? Here's a dark night indeed. I think I've been in 15 ditches between this and the forest. Oh, soft. Here's Enfield Church. I'm so wet with climbing over into an orchard to steal some filberts. Well, here I'll sit in the church porch and wait for the rest of my consorts.
Enter the sexton.
Is the sky as black as Lucifer? God bless us. Here was good man Theophilus buried. He was the best nutcracker that ever dwelt in England. Well, 'tis 9 o'clock. 'Tis time to ring curfew. Lord bless us, what a white thing is that in the church porch. Oh, Lord, my legs are too weak for my body. My hair is too stiff for my nightcap. My heart fails. This is the ghost of Theophilus. Oh, Lord, it follows me. I cannot say my prayers, and one would give me £1,000. Good spirit, I have bowled and drunk and followed the hounds with you 1,000 times, though I have not the spirit now to deal with you. Oh, Lord.
And enter Sir John the priest. So I think this is a different Sir John at this stage, but it's the same actor.
Same, because they call the priest Sir John. They just assigned him for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll tell you later, but this is right.
Okay.
Grass and hay, we are mortal. Who's there?
We are grass and hay indeed. I know you to be Master Parson by your phrase.
Sexton.
Why, sir?
For mortality's sake, what's the matter?
Oh, Lord, I am a man of another element. Master Theophilus's ghost is in the church porch. There was 100 cats, all fire, dancing even now, and they are clomb up to the top of the steeple. I'll not into the belfry for a world.
Oh, goodman Solomon, I have been about a deed of darkness tonight. Oh, Lord, I saw 15 spirits in the forest like white bulls. If I lie, I am an arrant thief. Mortality haunts us. Grass and hay, the devil's at our heels. Let's hence to the parsonage.
And they exit. Banks the miller comes out very softly.
What noise was that? 'Tis the watch, sure. That villainous unlucky rogue Smug is ta'en, upon my life. And then all our knavery comes out. I heard one cry, sure.
Enter host Blague.
If I go steal any more venison, I am a paradox. Foot, I could scarce bear the sin of my flesh in the day. 'Tis so heavy. If I turn not honest, and serve the good Duke of Norfolk as a true Mediterranean skinker should do, let me never look higher than the element of a constable.
By the mass! There are some watchmen. I hear them name Master Constable. Oh, I would my mill were a eunuch and wanted her stoned, so I were hence.
Who's there?
'Tis the constable. By this light I'll steal hence, and if I can meet mine host Blague, I'll tell him how Smug is ta'en, and will him look to himself.
And exit Banks.
What the devil is that white thing? This same is a churchyard, and I have heard that ghosts and villainous goblins have been seen here.
And enter sexton and priest.
Grass and hay, oh, that I could conjure. We saw a spirit here in the churchyard, and in the fallow field there's the devil with a man's body upon his back in a white sheet.
It may be a woman's body, Sir John.
If she be a woman, the sheets damn her. Lord bless us, what a night of mortality is this?
Priest!
Mine host.
Did you not see a spirit all in white cross you at the stile?
Oh, no, mine host, but there sat one in the porch. I have not breath enough left to bless me from the devil.
Who's that?
The sexton, almost frightened out of his wits. Did you see Banks or Smug?
No, they're gone to Waltham, sure. I would fain hence. Come, let's to my house. I'll ne'er serve the Duke of Norfolk in this fashion again whilst I breathe. If the devil be among us, it's time to hoist sail and cry, Uruma! Keep together. Sexton, thou art secret. But let's be comfortable to one another.
We are all mortal, mine host.
True. And I'll serve God in the night hereafter before the Duke of Norfolk.
And they exit. Yes, because of course Sir John is a conventional term for a priest.
I think it's the same man. I think
It
Sir
is,
John has been a priest all along because he
And we
has the
just
same
never saw it.
catchphrase.
Mhm.
Yeah, because Sir John, as says, is a fairly conventional name for a priest. So it's a very conventional element there. Alan.
It is in the dramatis personae.
Yeah. I just, it just confused me because he'd never been referred to as that before. So, yes, we've gone from pure fast to the moment after the fast, and the other scene in Panto that we could associate this with, which is the ghost scene, as everyone's scaring each other with by various degrees. So it's pulling all those levers of popular entertainment. It really is. Any thoughts before we move forward?
Just boringly going back to the giving of the title Sir to someone in holy orders. It was absolutely universal.
Yeah.
At this time. I mean, this is why you get Sir somebody Clark and Sir somebody Knight, because you have to distinguish between the two.
So that was effectively saying that they were of a similar social status, presumably.
Yeah, it's an honorific.
So yes, we have the John Hayward play with Sir John, the priest in that, and there's various other Sir Johns that sort of pop up here, there, and everywhere. So yeah, it's
and Sir other things as well. I mean, I can think of Well,
there are
I
irritatingly
can't.
quite a few sirs in this play, which I would probably change in the script. Appellation. Alexandra.
No, I was just indicating two other Sir priests that I can think of. Also, just the thing that is in the comments but won't appear with the video is that according to that great font of knowledge, Wikipedia, farces were a thing in this period. They did exist by this point.
It sort of depends on what we're meaning by farce. I mean,
but does it say if they existed in English?
Well, yes, French. There's a lot of farces in French, but they're not kind of Whitehall farces.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, literally going back to the play I just mentioned, John, his wife Tib, and Sir John the Priest, is a translation of a French farce, which features various comic interplay, but it's not a farce, doors opening and closing kind of thing. It's a comedy. It's sort of building of forms from pieces.
So we're looking at something potentially new in the English language.
Brilliant. It's difficult to tell, and especially as we've skipped quite a few plays to get here, so there might be other precedents that we haven't got to yet, as it were. I mean, there's certainly plenty of comedies with physical business and stuff going on. I mean, the amount of business here is not inherently new. Just the fact we're recognizing it as a farce form or something we might see in a sitcom is we might be projecting to a degree. We might not, might be.
Looney Tunes cartoons.
Yeah. Okay, we're winding towards the general close of play. So eyes down to see where the play goes from here. Enter Sir Arthur, Claire, and Sir Ralph Jerningham, trussing their points up as new up.
Good morrow, gentle knight. A happy day after your short night's rest.
Sir Ralph, so stirring so soon indeed. But, lady sir, rest would have done right well. Our riding late last night has made me drowsy. Go to, those days are gone with us.
Sir Arthur, care go with those days. Let 'em e'en go together, let 'em go. 'Tis time, i' faith, that we were in our graves. When children leave obedience to their parents, when there's no fear of God, no care, no duty, well, nay, it shall not do, it shall not. No, Mounchensey, thou'lt hear on it, thou shalt, i' faith. I'll hang thy son if there be law in England. A man's child ravished from a nunnery. This is rare. Well, there's one gone for Friar Hildersham.
Nay, gentle knight, do not vex thus. It will but hurt your heat. You cannot grieve more than I do, but to what end? But hark you, Sir Ralph, I was about to say something, it makes no matter. But hark you in your ear, the friar's a knave, but God forgive me, a man cannot tell neither. Oh, sfoot, I am so out of patience, I know not what to say.
There's one went for the friar an hour ago. Comes he not yet? Sfoot, if I do find knavery is under cowl, I'll tickle him, I'll thirk him. Here, he's here. Good morrow, friar, good morrow, gentle friar.
Oh, I apologize. Enter Hildersham.
Good morrow, Father Hildersham. Good morrow.
Good morrow, Reverend Knights, unto you both.
Father, how now? You hear how matters go? I am undone. My child is cast away. You did your best, at least I think the best, but we are all crossed, flatly, all is dashed.
Alas, good knights, how might the matter be? Let me understand your grief for charity.
Who does not understand my grief? Alas, alas, and yet you do not. Will the church permit a nun in approbation of a habit to be ravished?
Holy woman, Benedicte! Now God forfend that any should presume to touch the sister of a holy house.
Jesus deliver me.
Why, Millicent, the daughter of this knight, is out of Cheston taken this last night.
Was that fair maiden late become a nun?
Was she, quotha? Knavery, I smell it. If faith is the wind in that door, is it e'en so? Dost thou ask me that now?
It is the first time that e'er I heard of it.
Very strange.
Tell me, friar, tell me, thou art counted a holy man. Do not play the hypocrite with me, nor bear with me, I cannot dissemble. Did I aught but by thine own consent, by thy allowance, nay further, by thy warrant?
Why, reverend knight.
Unreverend friar.
Nay, then give me leave, sir, to depart in quiet. I had hoped you had sent for me to some other end.
Nay, stay, good friar.
Nay, stay, good friar. If anything hath happened about this matter in thy love to us, that thy strict order cannot justify, admit it to be so. We will cover it. Take no care, men. Disclaim not yet my counsel and advice. The wisest man that is may be o'erreached.
Sir Arthur, by my order and my faith, I know not what you mean.
By your order and by your faith. This is most strange of all. Why, tell me, friar, are not you confessor to my son Frank?
Yes, that I am.
And did not this good knight here and myself confess with you, being his ghostly father, to deal with him about the unbanded marriage betwixt him and that fair young Millicent?
I never heard of any match intended.
Did not we break our minds that very time, that our device in making her a nun was but a collar and a very plot to put by young Monchenay? Is not true?
The more I strive to know what you should mean, the less I understand you.
Did you not tell us still how Peter Fabel at length would cross us if we took not heed?
I have heard of one that is a great magician, but he's about the university.
Did you not send your novice Benedic to persuade the girl to leave Mounchensey's love, to cross that Peter Fabel in his art, and to that purpose made him visitor?
I've never sent my novice from my house, nor have we made our visitation yet.
Never sent him. Nay, did he not go? And did not I direct him to the house and confer with him by the way? And did not he tell me what charge he had received from you, word by word, as I requested at your hands?
That you shall know, he came along with me and stays without. Come hither, Benedic.
And enter Benedic.
Young Benedic, were you e'er sent by me to Chester Nunnery for a visitor?
Never, sir, truly.
Stranger than all the rest.
Did not I direct you to the house, confer with you from Waltham Abbey unto Cheston Wall?
I never saw you, sir, before this hour.
The devil thou didst not. Ho, Chamberlain!
Enter Chamberlain.
Anon, anon.
Call mine host Blague hither.
I will send one over, sir, to see if he be up. I think he be scarce stirring yet.
Why, knave, didst thou not tell me an hour ago mine host was up?
Aye, sir, my master's up.
You knave, is he up and is he not up? Dost thou mock me?
Aye, sir, my master is up, but I think Master Blague indeed be not stirring.
Why, who's thy master? Is not the master of the house thy master?
Yes, sir, but Master Blague dwells over the way.
Is this not the George? Before Jove, there's some villainy in this.
But our signs removed. This is strange.
Enter Blague, trussing his points.
Chamberlain, speed up to the new lodgings. Bid now look well to the baked meat. How now? My old Janet's back? My house is my castle. Lie in Waltham all night and not under the canopy of your host Blague's house?
Mine host will lay all night at the George in Waltham. But whether the George be your fee simple or no, 'tis a question. Look upon your sign.
Body of St. George! This is mine overthought neighbour has done this to seduce my blind customers. I'll tickle his catastrophe for this. If I do not indict him at the next assizes for burglary, let me die of the yellows. For it's no boot in these days to serve the good Duke of Norfolk. This villainous world is turned mangy. One day deceives another, and your ostler plays his part commonly for the fourth share. Have we comedies in hand, you hoarse and villainous male London lecturer?
Mine host, we have had the molingless night of it that ever we had in our lives.
Oh, is it certain?
We have been in the forest all night, almost.
What? How did I miss you? I was stealing of a buck there.
Oh, a plague on you! We were stayed for you.
Were you, my noble Romans? Why, you shall share. The venison is a footing. Sine cerere bacco friget Venus. That is, there's a good breakfast provided for a marriage that is in my house this morning.
A marriage, mine host?
A conjunction copulative. A gallant match between your daughter and Raymond Munchensey, young Juventus.
How?
Ah, 'tis firm, 'tis done. We'll show you a present in the civil law court.
How? Married?
Leave tricks and admiration. There's a cleanly pair of sheets in the bed in the orchard chamber. They shall lie there. What? I'll do it. I serve the good Duke of Norfolk.
Thou shalt repent this, Blague.
If any law in England will make thee smart for this, expect it with all severity.
I renounce your defiance. If you parley so roughly, I'll barricade my gates against you. Stand fair, bully. Priest, come up from the rearward. What can you say now? You're done in my house. I have shelter in the court fort. You see yon bay window? I serve the good Duke of Norfolk. 'Tis his lodging. Still, I care not. serving the good Duke of Norfolk. Thou'rt an actor in this, thou shalt carry fire in thy face eternally.
Enter Smug, Monchency, Harry, Claire, and Millicent.
Fire! Nouns, there's no fire in England like your Trinidado sack. Is any man here humorous? We stole the venison, and we'll justify it. There you now.
Good shoot, Smug. There's more sack on the fire, Smug.
I do not take any exceptions against your sack, but if you lend me a pike staff, I'll cudgel them all hence by this hand.
I say thou shalt go into the cellar.
Strut, mine host, shalt not grapple. Pray you, I could fight now for all the world like a cockatrice egg. Shall not serve the Duke of Norfolk.
And exits.
In, skipper, in.
Sarah, has young Monchency married your sister?
For certain, sir. Here's the priest that coupled them, the parties joined, and the honest witness that cried amen.
Sir Arthur Clare, my new created father, I beseech you hear me.
Sir, you are a foolish boy. You have done that you cannot answer. I dare be bold to seize her from you, for she's a professed nun.
Pardon, sir, that name is quite undone. This true love not cancels both maid and nun. When first you told me I should act that part, how cold and bloody it crept o'er my heart. To Sexton with a smiling brow I went, but yes, dear sir, it was to this intent, that my sweet Raymond might find better means to steal me thence. In brief, disguised he came, like novice to your father Hildersham. His tutor here did act that cunning part, and in our love hath joined much wit to art.
Is it even so?
With pardon, therefore, we entreat your smiles. Love, thwarted, turns itself to 1,000 wiles.
Young Masters Jerningham, were you an actor in your own love's abuse?
My thoughts, good sir, did labour seriously unto this end. To wrong myself, I'd abuse my friend.
He speaks like a bachelor of music, all in numbers. Knights, if I'd known you would have let this covey of partridges sit thus long upon their knees under my signpost, I would have spread my door with clover lids.
Well, sir, for this your sign was removed, was it?
Faith, we follow the directions of the devil. Master Peter Fabel and Smug, Lord bless us, could never stand upright since.
You, sir. 'Twas you was his minister that married them?
To prove myself an honest man, being that I was last night in the forest stealing venison. Now, sir, to have you stand my friend, if the matter should be called in question, I married your daughter to this worthy gentleman.
I may chance to requite you and make your neck crack for it.
If you do, I am as resolute as my neighbor vicar of Waltham Abbey. Godson, hey, we are all mortal. Let's live till we be hanged, mine host, and be merry, and there's an end.
And enter Fabel.
Now, knights, I enter. Now my part begins. To end this difference, no, at first I knew what you intended, ere your love took flight. Mild Monchency, you, Sir Arthur Clare, were minded to have married this sweet beauty to young Frank Jerningham. To cross this match, I used some pretty sleights, but I protest, such as but sat upon the skirts of art. No conjurations, nor such weighty spells as tied the souls their performancy. These for his love, who once was my dear pupil, have I affected. Now, methinks, 'tis strange that you, being old in wisdom, should thus knit your forehead on this match. Since reason fails, no law can curb the lover's rash attempt. Years in resisting this are sadly spent. Smile then on your daughter and kind son, and let our toil to future ages prove the Devil of Edmonton did good in love.
Well, 'tis in vain to cross thee, Providence. Dear son, I take thee up into my heart. Rise, daughter.
This is a kind father's part.
Why, Sir John, send for Spindle's noise presently. There be night, sir, the good Duke of Norfolk.
Grass and hay, mine host. Let's live till we die and be merry. And there's an end.
What? Is breakfast ready, mine host?
'Tis, my little Hebrew.
Sarah, ride straight to Cheston Nunnery. Fetch thence my lady. The house, I know, by this time misses the young votary. Come, knights, let's in.
I will to horse presently, sir. A plague on my lady. I shall miss a good breakfast. Smug, how chance you cut so plaguely behind, Smug?
Stand away, I'll fander you else.
Farewell, Smug. Thou art in another element.
I will by and by. I will be St. George again.
Take heed the fellow do not hurt himself.
Did we not last night find 2 St. Georges here?
Yes, knights, this martialist was one of them.
Then thus conclude your night of merriment.
And it feels very appropriate that Bilbo complains about not having his breakfast while talking to Smug. Sorry, Smug.
Give him a ring.
What I particularly like about this play is the stage directions are constantly talking about people taking on or putting off their clothes. It's this constant thing of doing their stays up or laces, sorting out their boots when they arrive from a long journey. There's some really nice details I like about that, about sort of the way it should be there's a sort of commitment to a certain naturalistic world, as well as the sort of ridiculous farcical and the magic stuff. And Fabel turns up at the end and goes, it was all a red herring, folks. I didn't use any magic apart from this. Come on, make up. Go on, make up. And so it turns out that Fabel was the fairy godmother after all. You shall go to the ball, and ding. And unlike in other plays where we have a convention of the bed trick, here we have the sign trick of ending up in the wrong place because someone's changed the sign on the building. I thought initially that it might be the early modern equivalent of nicking some traffic cones, but no, it was actually plot-based, which is nice. General thoughts about how it ended? It all tied up in the end. It all turned out good.
Almost did. Someone's being collected from the nunnery, but it's not Millicent. Is it her mother?
Yes, Dorcas.
Dorcas is still in there.
Apparently.
Well, she was visiting with the Prioress, wasn't she?
I'm guessing that actor is doubling one of the roles who's on stage, and there has to be an explanation for why Dorcas isn't there.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bit of lampshading there just to say she's still at the nunnery.
We have a plot hole. Let me fix it real quick.
All farces have plot holes. I mean, that's the function of a farce. Is you move it fast enough so that nobody notices. And it's plot holes are things that you notice in the car on the way home. That's a sign of success in a farce.
Yes, which is where this one doesn't really succeed with respect to the one gaping plot hole that is. But what happened to the pact that Fabel, not Faustus, made with the devil at the beginning to stay his execution by 7 years?
7 years hasn't passed.
Yeah, but I wanted the end of that story.
They're setting it up for the sequels.
Oh, right.
I genuinely think that it's just that is an opportunist thing put in. I think it literally I don't think it was ever to set up continuing plot, even if we assume there's missing bits. I don't think it's there. Sarah.
No. Yeah, I absolutely loved this play. I'm a massive fan of restoration comedy, and I need to look into city comedies because this was right up my street. But I have to say, I'm pretty certain you could do the Merry Devil of Edmonton without the Merry Devil of Edmonton. I mean,
yeah.
If the play wasn't called that, you could just cut him out completely. maybe reassign a couple of lines and you'd be fine without him.
Yeah. I have to say, I was looking at the whole thing going, well, with minor trims, this would make a really nice, neat one actor. Slightly reduce some of the parts and just really go at it with energy and pace. And I think that would work fabulously. Alan.
I'm still going back to the thought I had yesterday that this was an end of season show. Let's put together the edited highlights of all the material we've done. We can get another few nights revenue out of it, and then maybe when we do our nationwide country tour, we can put this on in godforsaken places and make a few quid out of it.
I yesterday I was sort of willing to go with that. I'm much less today because the rest of the play seems coherent. It's not like we have any more random sequences, as it were. Valentina.
Yeah, following on that, please pardon me for this before I say it, but because we talked about farce, but we didn't talk about parody. And to me, in the best possible way, which is probably better than what I'm about to say, but it feels a bit like the Scary Movie of the place before him, as in like all the best things are in there, but like slightly twisted to make it more funny. Like, does it make sense?
Yeah, like not another teen movie.
Yeah.
I mean, we have got parody. We have got plays that are actively parodying at this sort of time, because we've done Geronimo, ladies and gentlemen, and that's nothing if not a parody. And that's pretty much exactly the same time as this. Stephen.
Well, just to kind of pick up on Valentina's point, the word merry does a lot of lifting in this period, because it's a callback to a kind of imagined Middle Ages. Merry world, not merry England. They didn't call it merry England then, but they did have a conception of a merry world, which was full of good fellowship and things turning out right, and lots of eating and drinking. And so I think there's your Scary Movie logo, if you like. It's the word merry in the title. And while I'm on, the other big callback, of course, is to we've been talking in the group chat about the Duke of Norfolk and the associations there with particular characters that the audience is very familiar with. Again, speaking to somebody else's point, those plays were printed in 1608, and they're obviously in the repertory at this point. And so what you've got is, you've genuinely got a sense of a company, doing this kind of end of line, bringing everything together. And that fits also to the catastrophe, which appears at the end too, which is a specific line which is found in plays that they will have had on in that year.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely in conversation with other texts. It's just a question of how many texts. But the other thing is that it's an incredibly complex show in a sense to do, not in terms of what's going on, but you've got an awful lot of moving actors who need to be drilled to really make this fly. This isn't something you just throw on because it is actually all interconnected and needs to move at pace. It's a really interesting one. We're into extra time, so I'm going to go around the room for final thoughts. Anyone want to leap in before I start picking on you? Stephen.
Just the reference there at the end to Spindle's Noise is a band. So we're likely to end with, a big kind of song number at the end of it to add to the festivities.
Ooh, lovely. Always nice to have a song. Everyone goes for breakfast. And an ease up, always nice. Tamara, final thoughts?
I kind of want to completely agree with this is a parody, slightly farcical. I feel like I get the vibe as well that it's making fun of something, so I'm just reiterating what everybody else has said in a sense. I keep really liking Millicent's asides. I think that's almost part of it. I almost feel like somebody at some point was like, you know, these female characters always come on and they never say anything. And the writer went, ooh, good one. And ran with it. And there is so much that I feel they ran with to make this play. This is another one that I want to see.
Dan, we're at the end of the session, so my relative embargo on talking about textual matters draws to a close. If you want to incorporate any question about what happened to this text before it came to us, or just your own thoughts, you're free. You're free.
I was always interested in this text because it's one of the apocryphal texts, and it's one of those that's been called a bad quarto, and it's been printed several times during the early modern period and afterwards, which speaks to its popularity. And there's also references, and there's another reference in another play about this text, about an episode that actually did not happen in there. And that's not in the text that we have. So you can sort of piece together things. Also, I attached an image to the prose pamphlet that was printed in the same year as the first quarto, which was printed about 4 to 7 years after this play went up. I really enjoyed the play. It says to me what the audience's tastes were a bit, that it just kept getting printed over and over, whether they just liked to read it or because it was being put over and over. I feel it has a lot of potential to be staged because it's a lot of fun. It's a fast-moving comedy. And other plays like this, I mean, you brought up Night of the Burning Pestle. There's just things that we know and we're familiar with, so I think it can play very well today.
Especially as we go forward and we start moving out of the earlier sort of history and tragedy circuit, and we start doing more comedies. You know, we're going to find a lot more material like this, or doing, you know, and where we're trying to figure out what the gags are and how they function. And there's a lot of information that we'll need to start processing when that happens. Liza, final thoughts?
Oh yeah. Well, I'm looking at the intro to the printed edition I have, which is the Globe Quartos edition. And the editor there says that the authorship is, she names various authors who are suspected of having had a hand in this play. She names, interestingly, Michael Drayton, who's one of my favorite lesser-known sonneteers, Thomas Heywood, Thomas Dekker, and the Duck Man, who shall not be named. One name that doesn't cross the that doesn't cross that page is Robert Armin. And I would be keen for us to read his comedy, Two Maids of Mortlake, to see whether Armin's authorial voice agrees with anything we've just read.
No, it's or for that matter, any individual parts that would come across, whether there's adjustment by the clown for that might be detectable. I think that, yeah, that's a good call. Elizabeth, final thoughts?
I found it really interesting what Liza just said about the authorship of this play, because it's not unlike any of the other plays that we've done. And my question was, who was the Merry Devil of Edmonton? Did we discover that by the end?
I think Fabel was. He said, you know, they called him the Devil of Edmonton, even though he's not a devil. He's a scholar who has a deal with the devil.
Ah, so it's Peter Fabel by the end. Okay, thank you.
Yes, so you know, and he's a mischievous person, even though he did pretty much nothing. Sarah, final thought.
You've kind of already had my final thought. It's another one I'm going to add to my little list of dream plays I'd like to direct. I have to say, I do just love the ending. I love the way it ends because it reminds me so much of all those cheesy TV shows that you get from the 70s onwards, where it ends with just like two like minor characters like having a little laugh, and they just kind of, you know, everyone, the main action's over and they're just left together, and they kind of swap a joke and then they go ha ha ha, and it ends. And I love that. There's no epilogue, there's no kind of, you know, there's no big speech. It's just like two comedy characters or three just having their little joke, and that's so modern in a way, and I really enjoyed it.
Yes, dog in the corner barks, everybody laughs, and play ends. Valentina, final thought.
Well, I liked this play before because I've seen it before, but I would love to see it in English. I think that would be amazing. I think we had a bit of a lull today because the start is so funny, and then we stopped yesterday and we started every time we try and get back into it without the first part is a bit, but oh my god, it's like this can be so much fun. I'm all for it.
It's got a lot of momentum to it. Alan, final thought.
Nothing much to add, really. Enjoyable, but it feels to me like edited highlights.
Helen, final thought.
Well, I could do without the introductory scene, which adds very little. The scene with the devil being confounded. But what I most like about it, I think, is the generational thing, that you get this younger generational complete solidarity and agency. I mean, they really take over and confound everybody else. I found the tone of it was so different from the Queen's Men's plays that we've been reading recently. I mean, we seem to be far more than 5-10 years further down the line. It seems to be a different world.
Yeah, it really does, doesn't it? Alexandra.
Yeah, I agree with everybody else. It's eminently stageable. Exclude 5 anti-Semitic lines, and none of this is controversial. Which is rare for an entire play in at least the ones that I've been around and read. And I was thinking, it's true, and I agree that there are very probably lots and lots and lots of contemporary references, literary and otherwise, that we would have lost. But it's also true that there are lots of them that we have been finding, listening and reading it and listening to it, that are contemporary to us. So I think as a production, if we'd really leaned into all the things that people would recognize, TV shows from the 70s, Looney Tunes, all that stuff, you could make this a really fun show that was written 400 years ago and speaks to us right now with references that they couldn't possibly have envisaged occurring in between. And I think there's a magical thing in there.
I mean, excellent. My final thought on this is, possibly the text has been cut down, but it does seem to have been cut down with purpose. I think it's cut down to make the farcical element of it move faster. And there are moments when, like with the sign bit, when we sort of go, hang on, what's happening there? But actually, it is explained within the scene, so therefore it was constructed that way and didn't necessarily have a bit before it. That's not due to any adjustment. So it feels like a play that's actually been worked into this shape, more or less, and that's why I really, really enjoy it. And if there is that sort of hanging opening to it, that's simply because you should put it in program it with Dr. Faustus, and then you're fine. But otherwise, it's I think it's a cracker, really. Any final Dan? I see waving.
I'm a big fan of seeing abridged plays actually in print, because as we saw with John of Bordeaux, you can see that there's some things that maybe they didn't really smooth over well. Like there's this whole thing about the horse, that Smug is stealing a horse actually, and they end up changing the signs, and it's not completely resolved there. But I enjoy that because we get to see the process of how they put up a play actually, and it still works. So, and to emphasize, like you said, the comic bits, we saw that I think with that Faustus A text versus the B text, as one day we'll see with the B text, how a lot of those clown elements seem to have to be gone, in my opinion, I should say. So yeah, like that.
Excellent. Unless anyone has anything additional, final, bursting to come out point, I will close the session. We've had fun with the Merry Devil of Edmonton, or maybe the Merry Devil of Edmonton has had fun with us. I'd like to thank all the readers for this session and in fact, all of the sessions so far. We're taking a week's break before we return. We're going to do a little bit of magical thinking about where we might go from here before we resume also going into more readings as we start filling in more of the gaps in the repertoire. All that remains is to thank all the readers and goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.